to the channel. You know who it is by now.
Jimothy.
So ladies and gents, I thought I would showcase this Crystron deck, which seems to be growing in popularity amongst the Yu-Gi-Oh community. I'm seeing Crystron sit trees just going for upwards of like 25 Great British pounds and like 30 US dollars. It's crazy the amount of people that are jumping on this deck, and for good reason. The deck is solid, it is strong. I actually took it to locals this week, and this is the list that I took, ladies and gents. Now, I am going to make a few refinements, but I thought I would just showcase the list first and foremost, just so you can see like exactly my thought processes behind some of the cards, because there is quite a streamlined way to play the deck, but the deck has got a lot of room for some possible techs, and that's something that I'm definitely going to explore over the next couple of days. Still not sure what I'm going to be taking to the YCS Birmingham, but do watch out later on this week for a video detailing on some of the things that you might expect at YCS Birmingham. But anyway, without wasting any more time, ladies and gents, let's just get straight into it. Now, apologies for the glare. I'm again recording in my conservatory because your boy's got children and they're running around somewhere, and this is the quietest place in the house. But anyway, yeah, apologies for the glare once again. So triple Crystron Tristaros, again, like I mentioned in the previous profile, this is what allows you to play through a lot of interruptions. It allows you to do, depending on what your hand is, allows you to play in a very unique way where you can just burn your opponent's hand traps, especially anything with targeting, or even like Ash, for example, because the low impact hand traps do not do a lot to this deck. The floodgate hand trap is where the weakness lies in this deck, and unfortunately, because of the decks in the metagame, you're probably going to run into that more than you think, which is exactly what happened to me at locals. But anyway, moving on. Triple Smyga, again, this is your spell trap searcher. You're typically searching a spell if you don't have it in your opening hand. Solid card. You don't really want to use its on-field effect because it kind of locks you a little bit. So yeah, Triple Smyga. Triple Solfefnia, again, this is another play starter, gets a lot out of your deck, and depending on what you have in your hand, you can quite easily play through Joel because you do search a lot, but that's only because that's only if you do not open some of your like combo starters or combo pieces. And if you do open your combo pieces, you can kind of like just do an initial search and then just play on from there. Double Sulfador. Now I'm testing, well, I really want to try 3 again. I did try 3 previously, but I decided to bump it down to 2 just because I decided to put in 1 price Stortle. Now in my initial profile that I did on EDO Pro, I had 3 Sulfadors. The reason why I've dropped it is because after I've done a bit more testing, what I was finding that I had Crystron Sulfador in hand and no on-field Crystron to pop. So I want to see some of those other cards first before I try and get into my Sulfador. And typically once it's in grave, it's live anyway. So what I was having 1 in hand, 1 in grave. I couldn't get the 1 on hand on field, and the 1 in grave was dead because there was no Crystron card on field. So it was a bit of a double-edged sword. It is one of your better extenders. It does double Foolish Burial, which I think is absolutely busted, but I don't want to see too much, and that's where it lies. Price Stortle, there are times where like you have your Crystron monster in hand, and what I was finding at locals was there was a few times that I had it in hand and I'd already gone through my price store, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really could use it now. And it's just because of the way that my hands fell, but the few times when it was still in my deck and I actually managed to search it and get it out and use it, it was really, really useful, ladies and gents. So I do advocate for the 1 price store, but you can actually play without it. It's not that difficult. 1 Thistern, this is kind of like a requirement. Just ups the consistency because this deck is not consistent enough by itself. You need to add a couple of more engines in, which is why we played the Speedroid engine. 1 Citree, this card's gone to the moon. I don't know why. It's crazy because literally it just sits in your deck and you use it for Crystron, Quarion, Gandrax, and that's about it. Sometimes you use this effect to synchro summon into it, FA Dawn Dragster, but for the most part, it's just another tuner for Quarion, Gandrax. So yeah, what can I say? Continuing, we've got triple Crystron Inclusion. This card's nice. Again, if you open this card, typically this is where your opponent could potentially draw you, but then you kind of will right from there because a lot of the stuff comes out of your deck or gets sent from deck to graveyard. So you can kind of play on the draw pretty well if you see this card, ladies and gents, along with a couple of other Crystron monsters in your hand. So pretty solid card. The one trap Crystron cluster, this trap's nice. Again, just a pop, double pop if you got a Crystron monster on field. So very, very useful. Again, for the consistency, now there is a bit of contention here. I'm playing triple Speedroid Teratop as well as the one Taka Tomborg. Now you can actually play the Horus engine, and the reason why I like this as well as the Horus engine, and I probably would play the Horus engine over this just to test. The Horus engine is a little bit bigger, but it allows you to draw, and sometimes drawing into your deck and just digging out one crucial Crystron name like Smiger, for example, or even Fistburn, it does really, really help, ladies and gents, particularly because the cards that you have in hand are literally the cards that you're going to play with. And that was some of the things that I was finding at the when I took it to locals. I couldn't actually extend past the stuff that I had in my hand. If I couldn't play with those cards, I was like a fish out of water, basically. So I feel like the Horus engine might be a more viable way to do it, but in the same breath, the Speedroid engine is nice. It doesn't, if you see this first, you can just play without using your normal summon, and you can bait some interaction. So very, very useful card, ladies and gents. And I do play Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, so at the very worst, you can just make a Bamboozling Gossip Shadow and just prevent yourself from being nibbed, basically. So yeah, solid card. Next on to the generic spells. One Foolish Burial, which is actually full combo. It's absolutely crazy, which is one reason why I like this deck, and the reason why I've comprised it the way that it is because you've just got space for non-engine. One Corbett the Grave, I feel like this card is just vital right now, especially if you're playing a rogue strategy. If you play more meta decks, you can get rid of this card, or even side it, but just for this deck specifically, as a rogue deck, you need to give yourself the best chance, and Call by the Grave allows you to do that. This card, oh my days, this card actually kind of messed me up a little bit. I was playing it at 3 because I feel like hand traps are everywhere, and typically the locals that I go to, there's Raziel, Mitsurugi, there's Malice, there's quite a few meta decks, and I feel like Talents is very, very useful going second or first, but it just, I don't know. I feel like Talents is a decent card, but it just didn't pay off for me. Either I had seen it in hand, or I seen multiples in hand, which was rough, or I used this effect to draw and I drew into another one, and it was good in a sense, but like, I don't know, maybe it's worth a spot in the side deck. Just, I don't know, there could have been other cards that I could have played here, potentially even more hand traps, which is something that I'm really, really considering. But Talents is solid. It is a solid card. Going second, without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be used in some way, shape or form, but going first, I'm not too sure. And I actually swapped this out for droplets because I had droplets in there, and I don't know, it was a weird one. So I don't know, I'm not sold on the triple Talents in the main deck. I might even drop it to 2 or even 1, so we'll have to wait and see. But again, my reasoning behind it was I just wanted to draw, and if I got hand trapped, I could draw into like engine and just continue to play. So that was my reasoning behind it, but it didn't really pay off. It kind of bricked my hand at times. Moving on for hand traps, triple Ash goes without saying. Triple Droll, I think Droll's solid right now, especially with Raziel, Mitsurugi around, as well as Fuwalos. Like, I don't own Fuwalos, so I'm trying to insulate myself against it as much as I can. Triple Infinite Impermanence because it is a good card. Double Ghost Ball I decided to main, just because I wanted to respect Malice, which is everywhere at locals, as well as it kind of like hinders Mitsurugi a little bit. So yeah, double Ghost Bow, and as well as the double Nibiru the Primal Being. And that is it for the main deck, ladies and gents. Pretty straightforward. Again, a few things that I would potentially change, but yeah, for the most part, it's not too bad. Onto the extra deck. These real quick: 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Clockwork Knight, 1 Cherubini, kind of goes without saying. 1 Cyber Dragon Nova, Cyber Dragon Infinity, as well as the Macabre. I decided to slide the Macabre in, but for the most part, your opponent, I don't know, my opponent never really called my bluff with regards to Nibiru. It's nice to have, and there are times when it will potentially play off, but most of the players who kind of know what this deck does will kind of like play around nibbing the Cyber Dragon Nova, so definitely something to bear in mind. 1 Typhon, as well as the 1 Bamboozling Gossip Shadow. Now, What I would potentially include, let's move this over, for the invoked mecha bat, I'd probably put a Zeus in. Zeus is a machine monster, and Rise Your Detonator is on everybody's end board, which is annoying. But being locked into machines and then just taking a detonator and going into Zeus is something that I really thought about. And obviously Zeus is just a solid card, so you can actually just do that and wipe a field and then play in main phase 2, if so be it. So definitely worth something to consider, ladies and gents. Next, double FA Dawn Dragster, goes without saying, as well as the one Samurai Destroyer, allows you to play through Nib. One Crystron Quarion Gandrax. This card's busted. The thing that caught a lot of people off guard is when it gets popped. Bringing back any monster from any banished zone or graveyard is just absolutely busted. So yeah, this card is solid. Double Crystron Esqueletus. This card's nice. The secret effect where it debuffs your opponent's monsters by 500 attack and defense is something that you need to remember, because you can just beat over a few problematic boss monsters. So something to keep in mind, especially things like Desiree, for example. And then the final card was the one high speed Chanbara. Again, just helps you to OTK, does 4600 damage. So very, very solid, ladies and gents. Now, the side deck. This is what kind of lost me a couple of games, mainly because of the cards that I seen. Now, really quickly, Artifact Lancia, goes without saying, Malice is in the format, Crystron's in the format. Crystron dies for this card. It's not nice, but yeah, you do need to see Malice. Again, this is probably something that I might potentially change. Double Bestial Jerusalem, as well as the Bestial Magnamut. Just solid, just solid. Double Lightning Storm, as well as the triple Forbidden Droplets. This is what I sided out for, well, I say sided out, put in a side deck for talents, and I'm considering changing it around and even probably cutting the talents down like I mentioned previously. But Droplets, it's solid. Very, very easy side, to be honest, especially in this deck. There's a lot of flexibility because of the amount of non-engine. This card is the card that just seemed to just kill me, and this is the reason why I was so frustrated about having a draw engine, because a couple of games I just literally couldn't play, and after I sided in like 3 Judgment. I took out a couple of hand traps, and I just kept seeing Judgment with no ways to play the game, no ways to draw cards. It was just, yeah, it was a little bit frustrating, ladies and gents. And it is a good card, it is pretty solid right now, and even potentially I should have probably changed this for like Solemn Strike or something along those lines. But I felt like Judgment gave me a little bit more coverage, because I was kind of in fear of like board breakers, for example, and just like D-barrier or like thrust or something along those lines. So I decided to go with the Judgments, but it just bricked my hand and it just frustrated me to no end. But solid card. Side deck needs a little bit of work, so get at me in that comment section below on what you think I should include. And that is it, ladies and gents. I actually went 2-2 at locals. It was interesting, to say the least. Like, not a lot of people knew what the deck did. They didn't know where the choke points were. They didn't know the type of end board that it set up. And I think they were shocked at the fact that it put up hard negates. So Cyber Dragon Infinity, as well as the double FA Dawn Dragster, as well as the Crystron Quarion Gandrax and the trap. It's a lot for any deck to deal with, let alone like a meta deck. So definitely solid, definitely really, really strong deck. And expect to see this at the YCS, ladies and gents, because it's gaining in popularity, like I mentioned at the start of the video. But anyway, we find ourselves at the end of another video. As always, if you did like this content, you know what to do by now, ladies and gents. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that beautiful good stuff. And I will definitely see you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace. I'm thinking about I'm gonna finish this and I'm gonna get your results. Alright. Stand by me. Take punch burial. Sure. These Yeah. Activate inclusion, transform. Sure.
I have 3 channels. Chain 1 XP, banish this. Chain 2 Jerusalem to send this. And then chain 3 Satellite Warrior to recall.
Just set my eyes
Effect to soul from the graveyard target.
Yeah.
Effect transform.
This resolves. Yep. Special this is still resolving.
Effect to soul from the grave. Discard. Summon and then destroy itself. And then effect spell one from back.
Yep. Then I resolved my Jerusalem, which was sending this. This would have banished this. This sending this time. SP damage.
Effect to our skeletons. Yep. Target trap.
Then you get your new check.
Effect to choose Staros. Yep. Target our skeletons. Special summon 2.
Like a lot of the advantage. I mean, I did
new chain.
Man's making me remember. I don't like this. I'll change that.
Effect of inclusion. Target. So fair now.
Choose that.
Everyone does it to me all the time.
Effective fist bump.
I'm like, what? Let's see if I can clue you through this. You're on 4,000, so it's going to be slightly easier, but that looks easy. Special children. And if I attack your enemy, it's even worse.
Yours.
Done by main. Good.
Yep.
It's really nice that I don't have one.
White goat.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks.
I think I might just special the Fadrid because I think getting rid of the, I think special the Fadrid is a bad idea because it's going to
Sure, yeah.
Unless you sided one out.
No, it's not. I don't think it is. Oh, yeah, it's there.
Unless you like say you go fat round and fat round.
What it does? Oh, yeah, good point. I completely forgot I had to do
Black Goat called Crystron Tristaro.
Yeah, but it activates the damage, so you can't.
Yeah, you don't even attack
I attack a bunch. Take no damage or anything. Nothing it is.
Doesn't do anything anyway, just can't be border.
See you next round.
Engraver. Can you stop, man? Oh. Okay, well, let's go gambling.
I gotta transcend it to attack. I attack one, I don't know if that's game.
No, it's fine.
Oh my god. Oh my god, my thought goes.
Soldier. Ginger.
Okay, Marley.
Changing status.
Transcendent. Effective summon. With 600 so that's what it is. And if I tuck your so I 16 into this, you take 600. Then 3k into this, you take
Alright, well.
so you're
Special
on
Marley, then back.
1,600.
Whoa, give me a chance.
You're gonna be target monsters.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
So,
Oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, wait,
Truth?
if I had another
Yeah.
another in my grave, I should keep going.
Yeah.
Because I guess
Yeah, I think.
with one back. Yeah, combine it.
Top tier even.
Then I'll have Synchro 13.
I will go for
Second game.
Don't know what.
Yeah.
I agree.
6 minutes. Which I Great.
Special Rhino, San Rhino.
Yeah.
Tribute, especially interaction stance. So directly you can approach your stance. I definitely have a team action.
So foolish, yeah.
Tear Cash, fetch Tear Cash.
Chill, yeah.
Which tag game itself on the cover again? X adds, right? So if I banish this, you get like ice, normal, ice.
Yeah, you got
I did have one more interaction.
Oh, yeah, I've never played that.